Marina Brooks stared at her distorted reflection in her coffee cup for the fourth time in 10 minutes. The Roasted Bean, a cozy cafe in a trendy neighborhood in Portland, was pleasantly busy that Saturday afternoon. The smell of fresh pastries mixed with the aroma of roasted coffee should have calmed her, but her stomach was churning with a familiar anxiety. Blind dates always felt like walking a tightrope without a safety net. Her friend Chloe had been so insistent that Marina finally gave in. It had been 3 years since her engagement to Richard ended, and maybe it really was time to try again. Richard. Just thinking the name made her chest tighten. He had left when she got the diagnosis, when the doctors confirmed that severe endometriosis would make a natural pregnancy nearly impossible. The conversation still echoed in her mind like a scratched record. He wanted kids, a big family, and she couldn't give him that. Simple as that. As if 32 years of life could be boiled down to a single biological function. Marina tucked her brown hair behind her ear and checked her phone for the 10th time. 3:20. He was late. Of course he was. She took a deep breath, trying to push away the negative thoughts. Maybe this Ryan guy was different. Chloe had promised he was kind, hardworking, a real man. Marina laughed to herself. A real man. What did that even mean these days? That was when she heard the voices. 3 identical, high-pitched, determined voices cutting through the cafe chatter like birds singing in unison. Marina looked up and froze. 3 girls, absolutely identical, were walking toward her with the confidence of someone who knew exactly where they were going. They wore the same light pink floral dresses, white flats, and matching bows in their curly brown hair. They looked about 5, maybe 6 years old. Marina's heart raced, not from fear, but from a strange sense of recognition, as if she were watching a scene she already knew was going to happen. The first girl, walking slightly ahead of the others, stopped in front of Marina's table and stared at her with huge, serious brown eyes. "You are Marina," she said, but it wasn't really a question. Marina blinked a few times, trying to process the situation. "I am. And who are you?" "We are Daddy's daughters." The middle girl replied with a smile that revealed a dimple in her left cheek. "He asked us to tell you he's going to be a few minutes late." The third girl, who had been quiet until then, added with the seriousness of a miniature adult. "It was an emergency at the office. Daddy is an architect and had a problem with an important project. He said, if you want to leave, he'll understand." Marina felt a wave of tenderness mixed with complete bewilderment. These 3 children had walked across the cafe alone to deliver a message for their father's date? What kind of man would do that? And more importantly, what kind of daughters would take that initiative? "Have a seat," Marina said, surprising herself. She pointed to the empty chairs around the small round table. "Let's wait together." The 3 girls exchanged quick glances, a type of silent communication that only very close sisters have. Then, in perfect sync, they pulled out the chairs and sat down. The first girl, whom Marina was already identifying as the natural leader of the trio, held out her hand formally. "My name is Harper. This is Sophie." She pointed to the girl with the dimple. "And this is Lily," indicating the quietest one. "Nice to meet you, Harper, Sophie, and Lily." Marina shook each delicate little hand, feeling a strange lump in her throat. "Did you come here all by yourselves?" "No," Sophie said, swinging her legs, which didn't reach the floor. "Daddy is in the car across the street. He watched us come in, but we insisted on coming to give you the message." Marina looked through the glass window and could make out a silver SUV parked outside. There was a male silhouette at the wheel, and even from a distance, she could feel the embarrassment radiating from him. "And why did you want to give the message?" Marina asked, genuinely curious. Lily, the quietest one, finally spoke, and her words carried an emotional weight that shouldn't belong to such a small child. "Because we wanted to meet you first. Daddy gets nervous when he meets new people. He thinks no one will want to stay once they find out about us." Marina's heart broke a little. She knew that feeling. The feeling of being seen as a problem, as something that needs to be accepted instead of celebrated. And why? Wouldn't someone want to stay? Marina asked gently. Harper sighed, a sound too heavy for such small lungs. Because of our mom. She left when we were babies. She said she didn't want to be a mother, that she had bigger dreams. She became an actress and lives in another country now. Sometimes Daddy thinks people will think there's something wrong with him because she left, Sophie added, fidgeting with the napkin on the table. But there's nothing wrong with Daddy. He's the best dad in the world. He just works a lot and gets tired. And we know he gets sad sometimes when he thinks no one is looking. Marina felt her eyes sting. Those 3 girls were there not just to deliver a message about a delay. They were there to protect their father, to make sure one more person didn't hurt him. And what do you think I should know about your dad? Marina asked, deciding to lean completely into this sincere game. The 3 girls looked at each other again. Then Harper started to tell her, and her sisters joined in like a perfectly rehearsed choir. He always burns the pancakes because he gets distracted helping us with homework while he cooks. He doesn't know how to do hair, so our buns are always crooked for ballet recitals. He sings really badly in the shower, but we pretend we like it. He's afraid of spiders but never admits it. And he cries watching dog movies. Every single dog movie. Marina laughed, a genuine laugh that surprised even her. It had been a long time since she had laughed like that. It sounds like you know your dad very well. We do, Lily said with pride. And we know he deserves someone nice. Someone who won't leave. Sophie leaned over the table, her eyes shining with surprising intensity. Aunt Chloe said you're nice. She said you like to read, that you work helping kids in a community project, and that you make better chocolate truffles than Grandma. Is that true? Marina nodded, too emotional to speak. So Chloe had told them about her. She had built a bridge before Marina even knew she needed to cross it. It's true. And I'd love to make truffles with you someday. The 3 girls burst into simultaneous smiles, and Marina had the distinct impression that she had passed some invisible test. Daddy's coming, Harper announced, looking out the window. Marina turned and saw a tall man with broad shoulders crossing the street with hurried steps. Even from a distance, she could see the flush on his face, a mix of embarrassment and resignation. He wore jeans and a light blue button-down shirt with the sleeves rolled up, carrying a brown leather briefcase. There was something about him that conveyed exhaustion and determination in equal measure. When Ryan Miller pushed open the cafe door, his eyes immediately found Marina's. For a second, the world seemed to pause. He had green eyes, unusual and deep, framed by small expression lines that gave away someone who smiled a lot, even when life didn't give him many reasons to. He walked to the table, and before he could say anything, the 3 girls jumped up. Daddy! They cried in unison, hugging his legs. Ryan took a deep breath, clearly gathering his courage. Then he looked at Marina with an expression that mixed apology and hope. I can explain. Marina smiled, a true smile that lit up her whole face. You don't have to. Your daughter's already explained everything. And I must say, Mr. Miller, you have an excellent PR team. Ryan blinked, surprised. Then, slowly, a smile began to form on his lips. He pulled out a chair and sat down, the 3 girls quickly returning to their seats. They're terrible, he said, but the love in his voice was unmistakable, completely terrible and wonderful at the same time. Like every real family, Marina replied. And in that moment, in a busy cafe in Portland, as the afternoon sun painted everything in golden tones, 4 people who had known each other for minutes and a man still trying to process what was happening began to build something none of them knew they were looking for. A second chance. A new beginning. A family by choice. The conversation flowed with an ease that surprised them both. Ryan ordered hot chocolates for the girls and another coffee for Marina, insisting it was the least he could do after the scare his daughters had caused. But Marina just shook her head, amused, saying it was the best surprise she could have received. The triplets, now officially introduced and apparently satisfied with Marina's initial approval, began coloring in a book Ryan always carried in his briefcase for emergencies. It was impossible not to notice the small details that revealed a dedicated father. The blue ink stain on his shirt pocket, probably from some school art project. His fingernails trimmed a bit unevenly, showing he took care of it himself. The phone with a cracked screen, because spending money on himself was likely always the last priority. "So," Ryan began, stirring his coffee without actually drinking it. "Chloe probably told you I'm a widower." Marina frowned. "Actually, no. She just said you were a good man and that you had 3 daughters." Ryan seemed genuinely surprised. "Oh, well, technically, I'm not a widower. That would make things simpler, maybe, more socially acceptable." Harper looked up from her drawing, alert. Sophie and Lily continued coloring, but Marina noticed all 3 were listening intently. "Their mother is alive," Ryan continued, his voice carefully neutral. "Beatrix. We dated in college, got married too young, had the girls right away. She always wanted to be an actress. She had real talent. But the pregnancy wasn't in the plans. 3 babies at once definitely wasn't." He paused, taking a deep breath. "She stayed for 6 months after they were born. She tried. She really tried. But the postpartum depression was severe, and she said she felt like she was dying inside every time she looked at the girls. So she made the bravest choice she could. She left. She left them with me, knowing I would love them enough for both of us." Marina felt a lump in her throat. This wasn't the story of cruel abandonment she expected. It was something more complex, more human. "Does she visit?" Ryan shook his head. "She lives in London now. She sends money every month, more than necessary. She writes letters to the girls twice a year, on their birthday and at Christmas. She says one day when they're older, if they want to meet her, she'll be waiting. But for now, she thinks it's better not to confuse them." "And you?" Marina asked softly. "Do you think it's better?" Ryan looked at his 3 daughters, who were now pretending not to pay attention. "I think she knows her limitations. And there's a courage in that. She could have stayed and been an unhappy, resentful mother, but she chose to leave and leave them with someone who loves them unconditionally. I don't hate her for it. Sometimes I get angry, yes, but not hate." Sophie dropped her crayon and looked at Marina with those huge eyes. "Daddy says real love is wanting the best for the person, even if that best isn't you. Our mom loved us the way she could." Marina felt tears prick her eyes. Those children had been raised with so much kindness, so much understanding. Ryan wasn't raising bitter daughters. He was raising extraordinary human beings. "Did Chloe tell you about me too?" Marina asked, deciding it was time for her own truth. Ryan nodded. "She told me you ended an engagement a few years ago, that you work at a non-profit helping underprivileged kids with tutoring, and that you make the best chocolate truffles in the city." Marina laughed, but the sound came out a bit shaky. She forgot to tell the important part. Ryan waited, patient. "I can't have children, not in the traditional way at least. I have severe endometriosis. The doctors say the chances are almost 0. My ex-fiancé couldn't handle it. He said he always dreamed of a big family, with kids who had his last name and his eyes. I couldn't give him that." Her voice faltered at the end, and she hated it. Hated that she still carried that pain as if it were a personal failure. Lily, the quietest of the 3, got up from her chair and walked over to Marina. Without asking permission, she climbed into her lap and hugged her. "You don't need to make babies," Lily whispered in her ear. "We're already here." Marina couldn't hold back the tears. They flowed silently as she hugged that small, wise child, feeling something inside her chest break and rebuild at the same time. When she looked up, she found Ryan staring at her with an expression she couldn't quite decipher. There was admiration there, and something else, something like recognition. "You know," he said slowly, "people always look at me with pity when they find out I'm raising the girls alone, as if I'm a hero or a martyr. But the truth is, they saved me. When Beatrix left, I was lost. But every morning, 3 little reasons to get out of bed looked at me waiting for breakfast. I didn't have time to drown in self-pity." Marina wiped her tears with the back of her hand, still holding Lily against her chest. "You don't seem like someone who would drown in self-pity anyway." Ryan smiled, a crooked smile that made Marina's heart skip. You haven't seen me trying to do their hair for school plays yet. That's when I become a sea of lamentations. Harper and Sophie laughed, and the tension that had settled over the table dissolved like sugar in hot water. They talked for 2 more hours. Ryan told her about his architecture firm, which he shared with 2 partners, about how he made a point of picking the girls up from school every day, even if it meant working late into the night after they went to sleep. Marina talked about the nonprofit, about the kids she served, about how every small victory, every improved grade, every smile won, made it all worth it. The girls joined the conversation with witty comments and surprisingly deep observations. Harper revealed she wanted to be a veterinarian. Sophie dreamed of being a ballerina. Lily wasn't sure yet, but she thought she'd like to work with books. As the sun began to set, painting the sky orange and pink, Ryan looked at his watch and made a face. We have to go. School tomorrow, and someone, he looked significantly at his 3 daughters, still needs to finish their math homework. The girls groaned in protest, but began putting away their crayons obediently. Marina felt a pang of disappointment. She didn't want this meeting to end. That was when Harper, always the leader, stopped mid-motion and looked at her father with determination. Daddy, Marina has to have dinner with us. Ryan opened his mouth, clearly caught off guard. Harper, we can't just invite... Why not? Sophie joined the cause. We have spaghetti at home. You were going to make it anyway. And we can show her our room, Lily added, still clutching Marina's hand, and our drawings and our rock collection. Ryan looked at Marina, clearly mortified. You don't have to. They're very enthusiastic and don't understand social boundaries. But Marina was already smiling, her heart making decisions her head was still trying to process. I'd love to have dinner with you, if it's really not a problem. Ryan looked stunned for a moment. Then that crooked smile returned, wider this time. It's never a problem to have someone witness my burnt spaghetti. And so, as the roasted bean began to empty for the night, 5 people walked out the door together. 3 identical girls skipped excitedly ahead. A man carried a briefcase in one hand and kept the other free, as if getting used to the possibility of having someone to hold it. And a woman walked beside him, feeling that every step was leading her not just to a dinner, but to a future she had never imagined possible. Ryan's car was a silver minivan, practical and spacious. There were car seats perfectly installed, and Marina noticed small details that revealed a life lived entirely for those 3 little people. Unicorn, stickers on the back window, a forgotten backpack on the seat, a teddy bear tucked between the chairs. Marina followed them in her own car, a blue Civic that was 7 years old but still ran perfectly. During the drive, she found herself smiling at nothing, her heart beating with a mix of nervousness and excitement she hadn't felt in years. Maybe, just maybe, Chloe was right. Maybe it really was time to try again. But this time, she wasn't just trying for herself. She was trying for 3 big-eyed girls who had decided, in their childhood wisdom, that she deserved a chance. And who was she to disagree? Ryan's house was in a quiet neighborhood not far from the cafe. It was a 3-story house with a small green area in front, where Marina could see toys scattered, a pink tricycle, and what looked like a garden project in progress. When they walked in, Marina was immediately enveloped by the scent of home. It wasn't artificial perfume or expensive candles. It was the smell of life happening. Crayons, kid soap, maybe a hint of paint. The living room walls were decorated with framed children's drawings, each dated and signed by the Triplets. Marina walked slowly, observing the artistic progression. Scribbles from when they were 2, more defined shapes at 3. By 4, there were complete illustrated stories. And now, at 5, true works of children's art that showed talent and creativity. You framed them all, Marina said, touched. Ryan, who had just hung his keys on a hook near the door, looked slightly embarrassed. Every child is an artist, he quoted. The problem is remaining an artist once we grow up. Picasso said that. Or someone said Picasso said that. Either way, I thought it was worth preserving. Harper pulled Marina's hand. Come see our room." The three girls led Marina upstairs, their voices echoing with excitement. Ryan followed more slowly, carrying his briefcase and what Marina imagined was the weight of 1,000 worries about how this night might end. The Triplets' room was exactly what Marina would expect from three 5-year-old girls with distinct personalities, but raised together. 3 identical beds, each with different bedding. Harper's had stars and planets. Sophie's had ballerinas. Lily's had books and owls. The walls were painted a soft lavender, and there was a bookshelf full of books, toys organized in colorful bins, and curiously, an impressive collection of rocks. Lily ran to the collection and started showing each rock, explaining where they had found each one. The park rock, the beach rock from the coast, the rock that looked like a heart, the rock that was so smooth it made you want to keep rubbing it forever. Marina sat on the floor, completely involved in that small, magical world. Sophie brought a music box that played Swan Lake and started to twirl, her movements still uncoordinated but full of passion. Harper showed a book about animals and started to read, her voice clear and determined, occasionally stumbling over harder words but never giving up. From the doorway, Ryan watched the scene with an expression that merged surprise and something that looked like hope. Marina looked up and their eyes met. He smiled, a small, intimate smile that made her stomach flip. "Girls," Ryan said softly, "let's give Marina a chance to breathe. And someone needs to help me make dinner, or we're eating mac and cheese." The 3 protested but obeyed, heading downstairs in a noisy stampede. Marina stood up, brushing imaginary dust off her jeans. "They're incredible," she said, and the sincerity in her voice was undeniable. "They liked you," Ryan replied, "and they don't like everyone. Last year they met my partner's girlfriend and bombarded her with questions about dinosaurs until the poor woman made an excuse and fled." Marina laughed. "Lucky for me I know about dinosaurs then. I have a 7-year-old nephew who's obsessed with them. They went down together and Marina offered to help in the kitchen." The kitchen was surprisingly organized for a house with 3 small children. There was a whiteboard on the wall with the week's routine drawn in different colors. Monday was swimming, Tuesday was ballet, Wednesday was English, Thursday was visiting grandma, Friday was family movie night. "You're very organized," Marina commented, starting to chop the tomatoes Ryan had set aside. "I have to be," he replied, putting water on to boil. 3 kids at once doesn't leave much room for improvisation. If I don't plan everything, chaos takes over. "And you do it all alone? You don't have help?" Ryan hesitated, stirring the sauce that was starting to bubble in the pan. "My mom helps a lot. She lives 10 minutes away and picks the girls up when I have an important meeting. But she has her own life, her own commitments. I don't want her to feel like she has to dedicate all her time to her granddaughters. So yes, most of the time it's just me and them." Marina watched him cooking. The ease with which he moved through the kitchen, even with 3 girls circling around him, asking for water, showing drawings, telling stories of the day. He listened to each one, responded with genuine attention, never ignoring them even when he was clearly concentrated on not burning the sauce. They set the table together. The girls insisted Marina sit in the special chair, which was apparently reserved for important guests. Ryan served the spaghetti, which was perfectly cooked, contrary to his own pessimistic predictions. During dinner, the conversation flowed naturally. The girls told her about school, about the teacher who had a funny way of talking, about the boy who had brought a frog to class and caused a huge stir. Ryan shared a story about a client who wanted a house with 7 bathrooms for a family of 3. Marina talked about one of her students, little Julia, who had finally learned to read. After months of effort, it was Harper who asked the question Marina knew would come at some point. "Marina, do you have a family?" Marina swallowed the piece of bread she was chewing, giving herself time to formulate the answer. "I do. My parents live a few hours away, so I don't see them very often. I have a younger brother, Bruno, who's married and has 2 kids, and I have a 90-year-old grandmother who is the most stubborn and wonderful person you can imagine." "Did you want to have kids?" Sophie asked with the brutal honesty of children. Ryan choked on the wine he was drinking. Sophie, we don't ask those kinds of questions. But Marina shook her head, indicating it was okay. I did. I always did. When I was little, I played that I'd have 4 kids, 2 boys and 2 girls. I'd give them names of flowers and trees. I'd be the mom who made cookies every Friday and read stories before bed. And why didn't you? Lily asked, her huge eyes fixed on Marina. Because sometimes our bodies don't cooperate with our dreams. I have a condition that makes it very hard to get pregnant. The doctor said it would be almost impossible. The 3 girls were silent for a moment, processing the information. Then Harper, always the practical one, asked, But you can still be a mom in another way, can't you? Like adopting? Or taking care of kids who already exist? Marina smiled through the tears that threatened to fall. I can. And in a way, that's what I do in my work. I take care of kids who need someone to believe in them. Sophie got up from her chair, walked over to Marina, and climbed into her lap without ceremony. Then, you can take care of us too. We need someone to believe in us. Marina hugged the girl, smelling the scent of kid shampoo and sweetness. When she looked up, she found Ryan looking at her with an intensity that made her heart race. There was something in that look, a question he didn't yet have the courage to ask out loud. After dinner, while Ryan put the girls to bed, Marina helped wash the dishes. She stood looking at the photos on the fridge, the triplets at different ages. Ryan with the girls in his lap, still babies. An older photo where he looked younger and less tired, next to a beautiful woman with long hair and distant eyes. Beatrix, Marina presumed, the woman who had left. There was no anger in that displayed photo, no resentment, just the recognition that she was part of the story, even if absent. When Ryan returned, he found Marina drying the last plate. They want you to come up and say goodnight, he said, and there was an apology in his voice. If you don't want to, I understand. But Marina was already putting the dish towel aside. I want to. She went up again, entering the room now lit by a moon-shaped nightlight. The 3 girls were lying in their respective beds, clean and fresh-smelling, wearing matching pajamas. Marina kissed each one's forehead, feeling something inside her expand with every touch. Good night, Harper. Good night, Sophie. Good night, Lily. Are you coming back? Harper asked, her voice sleepy. If you and your dad want me to, I'd love to come back. We do, the 3 said in unison, and then laughed at the synchrony. Marina went downstairs with her heart racing. Ryan was waiting for her in the living room, 2 cups of tea already prepared. They sat on the sofa, a respectful space between them, but Marina could feel the electricity in the air. Sorry if they were too intense, Ryan began. They attach quickly to people who are kind to them. Don't apologize. They're perfect. You've done an incredible job with them. Ryan laughed, a humorless sound. I stumble every day. I burn dinner. I forget to sign permission slips. I show up with their clothes stained at parent-teacher meetings. I'm not father of the year. Marina turned to face him completely. You're raising 3 incredible, kind, smart, and self-assured girls. Alone, while maintaining a career, and you still find time to frame every drawing and organize rock collections. You are exactly father of the year. Ryan was silent, clearly moved. Then softly he took Marina's hand. I didn't expect you. I didn't expect someone to look at my chaotic life and want to be part of it. And I didn't expect 3 5-year-old messengers telling me I was exactly what they needed. But here we are. They stayed like that, hands intertwined for a long moment. There was no kiss that night, no dramatic declarations. But there was something deeper. There was the silent promise of possibility. When Marina finally said goodbye and drove home, she knew her life had changed. She didn't know how or in what direction yet, but she knew that 3 girls and a tired but dedicated man had opened a door she thought was permanently closed, and she was ready to walk through it. 3 months passed like a whirlwind of colors and emotions. Marina found herself integrated into the Miller family routine in a way so natural that she sometimes caught herself forgetting there had been a life before that meeting at the cafe. On Tuesdays, she arrived early to take the girls to ballet, sitting next to Ryan in the stands as they watched Sophie twirl with a grace that grew with every class. Harper always complained that ballet was boring, but Marina noticed how she paid attention to every movement, her analytical mind breaking down the mechanics of every step. Lily just daydreamed, her movements more poetic than technical. Thursdays were reserved for visiting Ryan's mother, Mrs. Miller, a woman in her 60s with the energy of someone 20 years younger. She had welcomed Marina with a tight hug and a conspiratorial whisper that finally her son had found someone who didn't run away upon meeting the reality of 3 children. But it was the Sundays that Marina loved most. Sundays were pancake days for breakfast, inevitably burnt because Ryan always got distracted helping the girls with something. Marina had taken over the role of official pancake supervisor, ensuring at least half of them were edible. On this specific Sunday, Marina arrived early. The sun had barely fully risen when she parked in the driveway. She had a key now. Ryan had given it to her 2 weeks ago, a simple gesture. That meant so much. Trust. Belonging. She entered quietly, finding the house still in its morning state of calm before the storm. She went upstairs, her feet already knowing every creaking step. The door to the girls' room was ajar. She peeked in and saw the 3 still sleeping, curled in their blankets like little burritos. Her heart filled with a tenderness so intense it hurt. She continued to Ryan's room. The door was open and she could see him sitting on the bed, still in his pajamas, staring at his laptop screen with a worried expression. He hadn't seen her yet, so Marina took the chance to observe him. There were dark circles under his eyes. His hair was messier than usual. Something was wrong. She knocked lightly on the door. Ryan looked up, and for a moment he looked so vulnerable that Marina felt like crossing the room and hugging him. But he quickly composed his expression. "You're early. I couldn't sleep. I got excited about the pancakes that really aren't going to burn today." He smiled, but the smile didn't reach his eyes. Marina entered the room, closing the door behind her. What happened? Ryan sighed, running, a hand through his hair. Big project. The client wants last-minute changes. I'm going to need to travel to San Francisco next week. 3 days, maybe 4. And what's the problem? Your mom can stay with the girls. He closed the laptop harder than necessary. That's the problem, Marina. There's always someone who needs to take care of them. I always have to ask for favors, reorganize my whole life around them. And don't get me wrong, I'd do it all over again. But sometimes I feel trapped. Not trapped by them, but by the situation. And then I feel guilty for even thinking that. Marina sat on the bed next to him, taking his hand. You're not the perfect father simply because you never feel overwhelmed. You're the perfect father because you feel overwhelmed, and yet you show up every day. Ryan looked at her, and there was an intensity in his eyes that Marina hadn't seen before. What if I asked you to stay with them? Would it be too much? Marina blinked, processing the question. It wasn't just about taking care of the girls for a few days. Era sobre cruzar uma linha invisível. It was about becoming more than the girlfriend who showed up for dinners and outings. It was about becoming an essential part of the structure of that family. It wouldn't be too much, she said, her voice firm. It would be an honor. Ryan let out a sigh that seemed to carry months of tension. I shouldn't need you this much. We've only known each other for 3 months. And in 3 months, you've become the person I trust most in this world. So I think we're tied in the speed of our feelings. Ryan pulled her into a hug, and Marina allowed herself to melt against him. There, in the still dark room, while the rest of the world slept, they just held each other. The moment was interrupted by small footsteps in the hallway. The door opened, and Harper appeared, rubbing her eyes. Marina's here, she announced, and then turned, shouting to her sisters. Wake up! Marina's here! In a matter of seconds, Sophie and Lily appeared, jumping on the bed and turning the intimate moment into joyful chaos. Marina and Ryan looked at each other over the girls' heads and smiled. This was family. The following week was a whirlwind of preparations. Ryan made lists upon lists, the girls' schedules, emergency numbers, instructions on non-existent allergies that he insisted on including just in case. Marina listened to it all patiently, hiding her smile when he checked for the 5th time if she knew where the Band-Aids were. On Monday morning, Ryan left for the airport with a small suitcase and a worried look. The girls said goodbye with noisy kisses and promises to be good. As soon as his car turned the corner, Harper looked at Marina with the seriousness of a general. "So, now you're officially in charge of us." Marina nodded solemnly. "Officially. And do you know how to do braids?" Sophie asked hopefully. Marina made a face. "Not like your dad. But I can learn." Lily laughed, that low laugh of hers. "Daddy doesn't know how to do braids. He just pretends he does." And so the adventure began. Marina discovered that taking care of 3 5-year-olds was simultaneously easier and infinitely harder than she imagined. It was easier because they were incredibly independent for their age, already used to following routines. It was harder because each one had different emotional needs and Marina was learning to decipher them. Harper needed intellectual validation. She asked thousands of questions and got frustrated if the answers were too simplified. Marina learned to pull out the encyclopedia Ryan kept on the shelf and research along with her. Sophie needed constant physical contact. She was always climbing into Marina's lap, holding her hand, asking for hugs. Marina discovered that her own need for touch had been neglected for so long that every hug from Sophie healed a part of her she didn't even know was hurt. Lily needed silence and patience. She was the observer, the one who processed emotions internally. Marina learned to simply sit next to her, reading or drawing, offering company without demanding interaction. On Tuesday night, after putting the girls to bed, Marina collapsed on the sofa. Her body ached in a way she didn't know. How did Ryan do this every day and still manage to work? Her phone buzzed. It was a message from Ryan. "How are things going over there? Is the house still standing?" Marina smiled, typing the reply. "The house is standing. My sanity, questionable. How do mothers do this?" The answer came quickly. "You're doing great, and they love you. Haley called me earlier to say you're better at answering astronomy questions than I am." Maya laughed out loud in the empty room. "I just admitted I didn't know, and we looked it up together. That's more than I do. I usually just make up answers and hope they don't fact-check me." They texted late into the night, and Maya realized she missed him in a way that went beyond romance. She missed her partner, her friend, the other half of the team. On Wednesday, the first crisis hit. Sophie fell on the school playground and scraped her knee. The teacher called, and Maya dropped everything to go get her. When she arrived at the school, she found Sophie with tears streaming down her face, not so much from the pain, but from the frustration of not being perfect. Maya picked her up, cleaned the knee, put on a unicorn bandage, and softly sang the song her own mother used to sing when she got hurt. Sophie gradually calmed down, nesting against Maya. "Will you always be here when I get hurt?" Sophie asked, her voice still trembling. Maya felt the weight of the question. It wasn't about a scraped knee. It was about reassurance and permanence in a world where her biological mother had walked away. "Whenever you need me, I'll be here," Maya promised. "What if you and Daddy fight?" Maya kissed the top of Sophie's head. Even people who love each other fight sometimes. But that doesn't mean they leave. Your dad and I are adults. We know that family is something you choose to keep every single day, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. Sophie seemed satisfied with the answer, and Maya realized she had just made a promise she intended to keep. No matter what. When Ryan returned on Thursday night, he found a scene of domestic peace. Maya was in the kitchen making dinner while the girls were drawing at the table. There was laughter, soft music playing, and the smell of chicken roasting in the oven. He stood in the doorway, watching. Maya felt his presence and turned around, a huge smile lighting up her face. "Welcome back." The girls exploded in screams of joy, running to hug their father. Ryan picked them up, one in each arm with Haley hanging off his back, laughing in a way Maya had never heard him laugh before. Later, after the girls were asleep, Ryan and Maya sat on the couch, their favorite spot. "You survived," he said, admiration in his voice. "I did more than survive. I loved every minute of it, even the hard minutes." Ryan took her hand, interlacing their fingers. "Maya, I need to tell you something, and it's important." Her heart raced. "I'm falling in love with you." "No, that's not right. I've already fallen, completely, irrevocably. And it's not just me. The girls have too. You've become essential to us in a way that scares me and thrills me at the same time." Maya felt tears sting her eyes. "Me too. I'm in love with you. With all of you. With the family we're building." They kissed there, on the worn-out couch surrounded by the traces of everyday life. And it was the most perfect kiss Maya had ever experienced because it wasn't just about passion. It was about choice. It was about commitment. It was about a love built one day at a time. And above them, in the lavender-colored bedroom, 3 girls slept in peace, knowing they had accomplished their mission. They had found exactly what their father needed, and in the process, they had found what they needed too. A complete family. 6 months had turned into a year. Maya didn't officially live with Ryan and the girls, but she spent more nights there than at her own apartment. Her toothbrush had a permanent spot in the bathroom. Her clothes occupied a drawer in Ryan's room. The scent of her perfume mingled with the smell of kids' soap and coffee that defined that home. It was a Saturday morning when things started to unravel. Maya woke up early, as she always did, and found Ryan already in the kitchen. But he wasn't making coffee. He was on the phone, his voice tense and low. "I understand, Paul, but I can't just drop everything and spend 3 months in D.C. I have 3 daughters." Maya froze in the doorway. 3 months? Ryan saw her and made an apologetic gesture, continuing the conversation. "No, I'm not saying the project isn't important. I'm saying I need alternatives. Can I commute weekly? Can I supervise remotely?" A long pause. "Right, I get it. Give me the weekend to think about it, okay?" He hung up and stared at the phone as if the device were responsible for all his frustrations. Maya approached him, touching his shoulder. "What's going on?" Ryan sighed heavily. The firm landed a massive project. A commercial complex in D.C. It's the kind of project that could put us on the national map. But it means one of the partners needs to be there to supervise for at least 3 months. And Paul thinks I'm the best man for the job. "And do you want to go?" Ryan looked at her, and there was genuine conflict in his eyes. "Professionally, it's the opportunity of a lifetime. Pesselmensch, it would mean leaving the girls, leaving you. And I don't know if I can do that." Maya felt a tightening in her chest. She knew how hard Ryan worked, how much he sacrificed his own ambitions to be present in his daughters' lives. And now, finally, an opportunity that could change everything had appeared, and he was caught between 2 worlds. "It's not leaving," Maya said carefully. "It's trusting. You can trust me to take care of them." Ryan shook his head. "I can't ask that of you, Maya. It's too much. 3 months? Taking on full responsibility? It's not fair. And if I want to, and if I'm offering?" Ryan fell silent, clearly torn. "I need to think. Talk to the girls. To my mom. This is too big to decide on impulse." Maya nodded, swallowing the hurt that was starting to form. She understood it rationally, but emotionally, a part of her wondered if he didn't trust her enough. The weekend was tense. Ryan was distracted, clearly brooding over the decision. The girls noticed something was wrong, becoming quieter, more observant. Maya tried to maintain a sense of normalcy, but there was a feeling of waiting in the air, as if everyone were holding their breath. On Sunday night, after the girls were asleep, Ryan asked Maya to talk. They sat in the backyard under the Chicago sky, so bright with city lights that you could barely see the stars. "I'm going to take the project," he said, and his voice was firm but thick with emotion. "But not because I want to get away. It's because I have to do this, for my career, for the girls' future, and because I trust you more than I've ever trusted anyone in my life." Maya felt tears in her eyes, I won't let you down, or the girls. Ryan took her hand. I know you won't, but Maya, this can't just be about sacrifice. I don't want you to put your life on hold for us. The NGO, your friends, your family. You can't forget about yourself. I'm not forgetting about myself. I'm choosing this. I'm choosing you guys. He pulled her into a tight hug. Then we'll make it work. And when I get back, we're going to have a serious talk about our future. Maya felt a shiver run down her spine. A talk about the future. That sounded like a promise, a permanent commitment. The next few days were a whirlwind of preparations. Ryan made even more lists. He organized documents. He had a long talk with the girls about the trip. They accepted it with the surprising maturity they always showed, but Maya saw the fear in their eyes. Fear that he wouldn't come back. Fear of being left again. The night before Ryan's departure, Maya found Lily crying silently in her room. "What's wrong, sweetie?" Lily wiped her tears quickly. "Nothing." Maya sat on the bed, pulling the girl into her lap. "Tears are never nothing." "Tell me." Lily sobbed against Maya's shoulder. "What if Daddy likes it better there? What if he decides it's easier without us, like our mom did?" Maya's heart broke. She held Lily tighter. "Your dad isn't your mom, Lily. He's going because he needs to work, because he wants to give you the best life possible, and he's coming back every weekend, and he'll call every day. And when the 3 months are over, he's coming home because home is where you are. And you? Are you going to stay too?" Maya kissed the top of Lily's head. "I'm not going anywhere. You're stuck with me now." Lily gave a wet little giggle. "Promise, I promise." And Maya knew that promise was bigger than any other she had ever made. It was a promise not just to Lily, but to Haley and Sophie too, to Ryan, to herself. The next morning, the goodbye at the airport was heartbreaking. The girls clung to their father, crying openly. Ryan hugged them one by one, whispering words of love and promises to return. When it was Maya's turn, he held her for a long moment. "I love you," he whispered. "Thank you for being my partner in this. I love you too. Now go build that amazing project." They kissed, ignoring the curious looks at the airport. And then Ryan went through security, turning one last time to wave at his family. 4 people waved back. 3 girls and a woman who had become a mother without ever giving birth. The first few weeks were hard. The girls missed their father intensely. Haley became more irritable, questioning every decision Maya made. Sophie became more clingy, needing constant affirmation. Lily withdrew, spending hours reading alone. Maya navigated each personality with patience and love. She learned when to push and when to back off, when to be firm and when to offer comfort. Ryan called every night, sometimes twice a day. The girls took turns telling him about their day, and Maya would stay in the background, listening, her heart filling every time she heard his voice. But as the weeks turned into months, something began to shift. The house stopped being Ryan's house where Maya helped out. It became their house. Maya made decisions without consulting him. She reorganized the kitchen to make more sense. She took the girls to meet her parents in the suburbs. She introduced new traditions like homemade pizza Fridays and Saturdays at the park. In the second month, there was a crisis at school. Haley got into an argument with another child who said she didn't have a real mom. Haley responded with harsh words and was called to the principal's office. Maya was summoned. When she arrived, she found Haley sitting in a chair, arms crossed, a defiant look on her face. The principal explained the situation. Maya listened to everything, then asked to speak with Haley alone. In the empty school hallway, Maya knelt in front of the girl. "You're right to be upset. That child was cruel and insensitive." Haley blinked, surprised. "You're not going to tell me I should have ignored it?" "No. You have a right to defend your family. But Haley, using harsh words doesn't hurt the person who hurt you. It hurts you. It makes you carry anger that you don't deserve to carry." "So what should I have done?" Maya thought carefully. "You could have said that family is about love. not about blood. You could have said you have an amazing dad and someone who chose to love you. You could have made it clear that this child's opinion doesn't define who you are or who your family is. Haley was silent for a moment. Do you count as a mom, even if it's not official? Maya felt her throat tighten. If you want me to count, then I count. Haley hugged her then, hard and desperate. I do. I really do. And there, in a school hallway, Maya allowed herself to fully accept the role she had been gradually assuming. She wasn't the dad's girlfriend. She wasn't the helper. She was a mother. By choice. By love. When Ryan called that night, Maya told him about the incident. She expected worry, maybe frustration for not being there. But what came was something different. You did exactly what I would have done. Better even. Maya, you're extraordinary. The girls are lucky to have you. I'm lucky to have you. And I'm lucky to have you guys, she replied, her voice breaking. 1 more month and I'm coming home. And when I get back, we have to have that talk. About the future? About our future. Together. Officially. Maya smiled through her tears. I'm waiting. That night, lying in the bed that now felt more like hers than anywhere else, Maya looked at the ceiling and felt a deep peace. Yes, it was hard. Yes, there were moments of doubt and exhaustion. But for the first time in her life, she knew exactly where she belonged, and belonging had never felt so perfect. The 3rd month was coming to an end. Ryan would be back in a week, and the house was in a frenzy of preparation. The girls insisted on making a welcome home banner. Sophie wanted to bake a cake. Haley had written a welcome speech that included statistical data on how much they had missed him. Lily just wanted everything to go back to normal. Maya watched it all with a smile on her face, but something was gnawing at her inside. Ryan had mentioned that talk about the future several times during their calls, and although Maya knew deep in her heart what she wanted, she couldn't help but worry about what he would say. 3 months apart. Maybe he had realized it was easier alone, or maybe he had met someone in DC. No, she shook her head. It wasn't fair to doubt him like that. Ryan wasn't Richard. Ryan was constant, present, true. On Thursday, 2 days before Ryan's return, Maya got a call from Chloe. You need to come to the coffee shop, her friend said, her voice strangely excited. Now? I'm in the middle of helping the girls with their homework. Now! And bring the girls. Trust me. Maya frowned, but something in Chloe's voice made her agree. She gathered the 3 girls, all complaining that they hadn't finished their math homework yet, and took them to the Aroma and Bean coffee shop, the same coffee shop where it had all started a year ago. When they walked in, Maya stopped abruptly. The coffee shop was decorated. There were flowers everywhere, candles. And in the center, standing with palpable nervousness, was Ryan. He had come back early. The girls screamed in unison and ran to him. Ryan picked them up, spinning with them, laughing and crying at the same time. Maya stood frozen at the entrance, her heart beating so hard she could hear it in her ears. When Ryan finally let the girls go, he walked over to Maya. He looked different. Thinner, maybe. More tired. But there was something in his eyes that hadn't been there before. A certainty. You came back early, Maya whispered. I couldn't wait another 2 days. I needed to do this now. Do what? Ryan took her hand, guiding her to the center of the coffee shop. The girls positioned themselves strategically around them. And that's when Maya realized. They knew. They had planned this. Maya, Ryan began, his voice trembling slightly. I came to this city 7 years ago. I came to build buildings and raise my daughters. I never thought I'd build a life. I never thought I'd find someone who wouldn't just accept my baggage, but would embrace it as if it were her own. He took a deep breath. You showed up in my life in the most unusual way possible, brought to me by 3 very persuasive messengers who decided they knew what was best for me, and they were right. Haley, Sophie, and Lily were beaming, clearly proud of their role. In these 3 months away, I realized something. I didn't miss home. I missed you. Because you've become my home. You, the girls, our life together. That's what home means to me now. Maya felt. Tears streamed freely down her face. And then Ryan knelt down. The three girls knelt too, each pulling a small box from their pocket. "We have a question for you," Haley said, opening her box to reveal a delicate white gold ring. "And we hope you say yes," Sophie continued, opening her box to show another ring, this one with 3 small stones. "Because we really, really want you to stay forever," Lily finished, her box containing a 3rd ring. Ryan opened his own box, revealing an elegant but simple engagement ring with a solitaire diamond. "Maya Miller," he said, his voice now firm and clear, "will you marry me? Will you be my wife, the mother of my daughters, my partner in everything?" The girls spoke in unison. "Will you be our real mom?" Maya was crying so hard she could barely see. She looked at Ryan, the man who had shown up late for a blind date and changed her life completely. She looked at Haley, the leader, the thinker, the girl who challenged her every day to be better. She looked at Sophie, the dreamer, the affectionate one, the one who had taught Maya the importance of a hug. She looked at Lily, the observer, the sensitive one, the one who showed that sometimes the deepest love is the quietest, and she knew there was only one possible answer. Yes, 1,000 times, yes. The coffee shop exploded in applause. Maya hadn't even realized there were other people there. Chloe, of course. Grandma Terry with tears in her eyes. Ryan's partners. Some of Maya's friends from the NGO. They had all been accomplices in that moment. Ryan slid the ring onto her finger, a perfect fit. The girls put on their own rings, symbolic acts of inclusion and love. And then Ryan pulled her into a kiss that made Maya forget where she was, who was watching, everything except the feeling of finally being home. When they pulled apart, the 3 girls hugged them, creating a tight circle of love and belonging. "Now we're a real family," Haley announced with satisfaction. "We always were," Maya replied, kissing the top of her head. "We just made it official now." The rest of the night was a blur of happiness. They ate cake that Chloe had ordered. They toasted with juice for the girls and champagne for the adults. They told and retold the story of how they met to anyone who would listen. And later, much later, when everyone had gone and the girls were exhausted sleeping in the car, Ryan and Maya were alone in the empty coffee shop. "Thank you," Maya said, holding his face between her hands. "For what? For trusting me, for letting me love you guys, for giving me the family I always wanted, just not in the way I imagined." Ryan kissed her palm. "I should be thanking you. You took a tired man with 3 wild kids and saw possibility where others saw complication. They're not wild. They're extraordinary, just like their father." They laughed, and then they simply held each other, right there in the place where it had all begun. The next few months passed in a whirlwind of wedding planning. The girls insisted on being bridesmaids. They also insisted on wearing identical dresses because, according to Haley, matching was their trademark. Maya officially moved into the house. Her apartment was rented out, and she brought only what was essential. But she discovered she had already left so much of herself in that house that she barely needed to bring anything at all. The NGO was understanding when she reduced her hours to dedicate more time to her family, but Maya didn't give up her work. Instead, she found a way to integrate it. She started taking the girls to the community center, showing them the importance of helping others. Haley started tutoring younger kids in math. Sophie gave dance lessons. Lily read stories. They were learning what Maya had always known. That family isn't just about receiving love. It's about multiplying it. The wedding took place 6 months after the proposal, in an intimate ceremony in Grandma Terry's garden. Maya wore a simple lace dress. The girls wore light pink with flowers in their hair. Ryan cried when he saw her walk down the makeshift aisle, accompanied not by her father, but by his 3 daughters. They handed her over to Ryan with all the solemnity they could muster, and Haley whispered loud enough for everyone to hear, "Take good care of her, Daddy. She's special." Ryan laughed through his tears. I know, I will. The vows were simple but profound. They promised not just love, but partnership. Not just to be present, but to be a presence. Not just to create a family, but to nurture it every day. And when the officiant declared them husband and wife, the girls cheered louder than anyone, shouting, "Now Maya is our real mom." Technically, Maya wasn't yet. The adoption would take time, paperwork, and legal processes. But in her heart, where it mattered, she had been a mother for a long time. The life after the wedding was surprisingly normal. There were arguments about who forgot to buy milk. There were sleepless nights when one of the girls got sick. There were moments of frustration when Ryan's work demanded too much or when Maya felt overwhelmed. But there was also laughter in the morning. There were impromptu dances in the kitchen. There were lazy Sundays where everyone stayed in their pajamas all day. There was love, constant and present in every corner of that house. 5 years after the wedding, on a sunny spring Sunday, Maya was in the backyard watching the girls, now 10 years old, play. They had grown so much. Haley was taller, her features becoming more defined. Sophie had dedicated herself seriously to ballet, dreaming of a professional career. Lily had discovered a passion for writing, already working on her third book of stories. Ryan appeared behind Maya, wrapping her in a hug. "What are you thinking about?" Maya leaned back against him, about how everything could have been different if those 3 messengers hadn't decided to show up at that coffee shop. Ryan kissed her neck. It wasn't the messengers. It was you. You could have run away when you saw 3 kids arriving instead of the man you expected. But you stayed. I stayed because I saw something in them. I saw kindness and love and possibility. And we saw the same thing in you. They stood there, holding each other, watching the 3 girls who had changed both of their lives. 3 girls who had taught Maya that family isn't about biology. It's about choice. It's about showing up every day. It's about loving even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard. Haley looked back and saw her parents hugging. She nudged her sisters, and all 3 turned to watch them. "Mission accomplished," Sophie whispered. "The best mission ever," Laura agreed. And Haley, always the leader, always the one seeing 3 steps ahead, smiled. "We're not even done yet. Wait, until they find out we want a baby brother." The 3 of them laughed, that conspiratorial laugh they had shared since the beginning. And then they went back to playing, leaving the talk about siblings for another day. Because they had time. They had their whole lives ahead of them. Together, as a family. And there was nothing more perfect than that. The end. If the journey of Maya, Ryan, Haley, Sophie, and Lily touched your heart, know that we have more moving stories waiting for you. Stories about second chances, about families who choose each other, about love that appears when we least expect it. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of these journeys that celebrate the best of humanity. Leave a like if you believe that family is about love, not about blood. And in the comments, tell us, have you ever had a second chance that changed your life completely? We want to hear your story too, because in the end, we are all messengers for one another, bringing hope and possibility when we need it most.